Hello, everybody at home. Welcome to Ours is the Theory, because I haven't actually introduced the little segment name, which I thought was really clever. I can't even remember who came up with it.
It was me.
Was it you? I
I'm going
thought
to
it
be
might have
entirely
been.
honest. It was. Yeah, I was very proud. I was very
I,
proud.
I mean, it's delightful. So this
In
was
all fairness,
House.
you came up with Jenny of Oldstones, so I'm
Did I
happy
come
with that.
up? I didn't come up with Jenny of Oldstones, did I? I mean, George R. R. Martin came up with Jenny of Oldstones. Okay, so I've actually got a few notes here, but they're kind of right. Episode 6 out of 8, season 2. The small folk. No, small folk. Just small folk. So this was another build-up episode. So I think next episode we might see a battle. But there was one thing I was paying very close attention to in this episode. They were talking about distances. So I wrote down some notes and I've got a map. So
I didn't get that.
They mentioned two distances. They mentioned that it was a fortnight's. So when Aemond is talking to Kristen Cole, he says it will take a fortnight to march from King's Landing to Harrenhal. Okay, now that's longer than I thought. I previously thought that it would take a fortnight to march all the way up to Winterfell. I thought I kind of got the vibe that the King's Road at the beginning of Game of Thrones was in fact.
It took months.
I thought it was
to
like
get
a month.
north to
I
south.
thought, I thought it was at least a month.
It would have been at least a
around
month.
that area.
Yeah. So 2 weeks to Harrenhal, King's Landing to Harrenhal, 14 days, a fortnight. However, in Daemon's vision, where he's talking to Alice Rivers, she says to him, "Wait 3 days, something will happen." Now, because Grover Tully is at River Run, unless I'm mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grover Tully, I
Should
believe,
be.
he might even have been stated that he was at River Run. The distance from Harrenhal to River Run, right, is approximately, just lining it up now, it's like River Run. The distance between River Run and Harrenhal is approximately the same as Harrenhal and King's Landing. Harrenhal and King's Landing is like a little bit more, and if you just go by main roads, then Harrenhal to River Run is probably a little bit further still, presuming that with Harrenhal you go directly onto is it like the King's Road, I think it's called, that goes down to King's Landing, but you could then go north to Darry and then west at the crossroads and down the River Road to River Run. How did she make that trip in 3 days when Kristen Cole's army would take 2 weeks to get to Harrenhal? Now I understand, of course, that an army is going to be slower, right? But they're also like military and regimented and stuff. But they'll take how many hours? It probably takes a couple of hours to set up camp each day for the army and all that kind of stuff. But 2 hours to 3 days seems like one hell of it. And like Alice Rivers, she's fast. I mean, yes, an individual, particularly someone who knows the Riverlands, will probably be able to, I would say, almost take a direct route, maybe, especially since she's a bastard. She's not going to be traveling in luxury. She'll probably be traveling alone, effectively. But unless she like morphs into that owl, I don't know. I see a consistent I see an inconsistency here that seems deliberate, right? It's the same episode, so it's a side by side comparison. They're both taught like it's like three days. I'm assuming it's 3 days to get there. Maybe when Daemon heard, it might have been another day or two for a raven to come or something like that. But yeah, it seems like a massive discrepancy, but it's landed on us in this one episode. Either this is a straight up inconsistency, or it attests to Alice Rivers's magical properties.
What if she traveled by the river though? What if wouldn't that be significantly faster than traveling by road?
So she'll go to Darry and down the actual river to River Run. Yeah.
I mean, my question for Max is, we were kind of discussing this the last one or the one before. We were discussing like is this particular era of Game of Thrones particularly magical? Could it be a magical solution? Could it be that she's doing witchy stuff? Or, she joked that she can, travel in the eyes of a barn owl, and she literally had a barn owl. Now, Ultraflex pointed out that no one except Aemond has ever actually interacted with Alice or like had words with her since she's been on screen. So is it possible that she was at Riverrun all along and she's just been sending hallucinations to Damon this whole time? Rather than it
maybe.
being that she's traveled that way, maybe it's the other way around, where like she's been sending her, like, because was it Black Candles, the way you can enter people's dreams? So every time has Damon been talking to her, it's actually been like sending him dream visions of her. I put in my notes, it seems so bizarre how well he trusts her for no reason.
Yeah, it's that. I would say that's not impossible. I think we got the first mention of her outside of Damon, those episodes. Lionel Strong mentioned her by
She's
name.
helping out she helped out Lord Tully, which suggests that she's been at Riverrun this whole time, or he's aware of her, but like I don't know, it's very surreal.
One thing we do probably know, or at least can surmise, is that using the old god stuff, it's not a stretch to imagine that she can communicate through weirwood trees, right? Because if Damon's sleeping on a weirwood bed, of which he specifically referenced in this episode, then then there's a direct line of communication right there. Weirwood bed. All she's got to do is find the nearest weirwood tree, which in Riverrun probably isn't that far. We didn't see any weirwood tree in Riverrun itself in Game of Thrones when we saw Riverrun, but I'm looking at the map here, and there's a place called the Whispering Wood right north of Riverrun. So if there's a Whispering Wood, I don't know. That kind of sounds like somewhere a weirwood tree would be, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember in the books. I think Catelyn says that her Godswood doesn't have a heart tree, which is why she's so intimidated by. She feels so out of place in the Godswood in up north. So I think there probably are heart trees, but not directly in Riverrun. But again, there's something magic-y poo going on, and I'm interested about it. Like, and the fact that like is she on Daemon's side? Is she not on Daemon's side? I don't know why she would be on Daemon's side. There's no reason for her to be on Daemon's side, but she seems to be providing him with 3 therapy. Like, I'm half expecting her to like have like a better help segment at some point, because like she really is just throwing out like, his main flaw is that he always runs away. So maybe I should just trap him in a room with his brother until he gets some catharsis. Has to to his issues.
I have some overall thoughts on the whole Damon storyline.
Come on, Max.
So far. It's been disappointing me, honestly. I really I feel like they're just using it as an excuse to bring back the actors they liked from the first season in the dream sequences, which is nice. It's good to see them, and I enjoy it for what it is, but I feel like they really sidelined Damon this season and gave a lot of his stuff or stuff that he could be doing to other characters, which I think is improving those other characters, so it might be worth it in the end. But they've definitely changed things in that way.
Part of me kind of wonders whether or not like there seems to be a lot of like juicy psychological stuff for Matt Smith to kind of sink his teeth into, but not that much physical stuff. And part of me wonders whether or not, I know he was injured while filming season 1. He like slipped a couple of discs in his neck. Maybe they were trying to give him less physical stuff. So maybe I am vaguely spoiled that at some point there might be something cool and physical coming up where he gets all badass and nifty and shit. And maybe they're trying to like save the actor from physical harm until they can do those scenes, or maybe they're trying to like, I don't know. Part of me wonders whether or not it's a kind of production behind the scenes choice more than it is a character choice.
It's interesting. I didn't know that about his injury. Yeah, I
So
mean, I would like to. I love Matt Smith, and I think he's great as Damon. So I want to see him do more stuff that isn't
bullshit.
just dream sequences.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
and
think as far as I know, his injuries haven't relapsed, but I wouldn't put it past production having had a scare like that. Being a bit cautious about giving him too much physicality.
Yeah, but they've got stunt doubles and CGI and all that kind of stuff. If they really wanted to do, they could do a whole dragon battle with Daemon and not even use Daemon. Yeah, I'm certain. You know, I the thing I think, as I understand it, and Max could probably verify this, is that at this particular stretch of the Dance of the Dragons, there isn't a lot for Daemon to do. However, Matt Smith as Daemon is, of course, very popular, very compelling, very interesting. So I think, as I understand it, a lot of what happens at Harrenhal is new content that was written up, and I think
yeah,
on it wouldn't have
during this
taken.
time, Damon's sort of like off the board. You don't really like
Mm,
see what he's doing. So so they're sort of like giving him stuff to do, but at the same
mm,
time, that I can also see stuff that they're cutting for the future that
mm,
Damon would have gone into these things, but now he's not going to. So
Yeah,
mm,
it's well
Nettles,
written
I think
filler,
they're
but it is
yeah,
feeling like filler.
yeah.
mm,
It's like Damon and a character called Nettles become very important together after this point in the book. She was a dragon seed that takes that claims sheep stealer, and I'm like basically 100% sure at this point they're cutting her in that storyline and sort of replacing her role with Rhaenyra. Um,
yeah.
and that
I
really
Yeah,
is
that's
gonna
what
it completely changes the dynamic between her and Damon, and it's not gonna
I'm.
be able to work the same way.
yeah.
So
I've heard
that's a
that.
little disappointing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not familiar with Nettles as a character outside of a few bits of trivia, so I don't. Yeah. So I'm yeah reserving judgment on that front. But I think they could have made the Damon scenes more interesting if they got, like, there were good moments. That scene with Paddy Considine coming back, and the fact that it's the same scene but done in like an eerie way. That scene there was kind of horrifying, but in a really good way. But however, the amount of actual airtime to these visions, when really what I think would have gone down a lot better, right? So one scene I really liked from the last episode was Jace going to the twins and doing that negotiation, right? It gives you a little bit of a view into other parts of Westeros. It gives you some good dialogue with some new characters. It establishes some existing characters, and yeah, like it's good world building. Damon could have done a whole bunch of that with the River Lords, and it wouldn't have, been an expensive thing to do. Probably, it would have been just shooting any other dialogue scenes, and I think that could have been a good example to see more of the Riverlands rather than more of the inside of his
Yeah.
mind. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, I also feel like, and it's a complaint that I voiced last week or the week before, that I feel like the visions could have used some progression in that they started off kind of subtly and kind of creepy, like things out of the corner of your eye, or he like does a double take and he sees something. He thinks he sees someone, and then it cuts again and it's someone else. And then by the time you get to this point, you're into the full-blown hallucinations. Because if you don't have that build-up, you can't really see how it's going to end. And that's kind of frustrating when you started off with the big crazy visions. At least this is the first time we've had an outside character be like it's the first time we've really had what's he called, Mr. Strong. Actually be maybe you need some sleep, dude, but like we all know that you're totally cursed or whatever.
Simon Strong.
But that
That's it.
scene was so like, because Damon was acting completely nutso. Like, it's hard to say how much that it was just like the tone is just a little bit confused, if that makes any sense.
Definitely.
I don't know.
And also,
I'm hoping there's a really good resolution to this.
Yes, this
At the
is
moment,
all
it
set
still
up.
feels like just sticky parts.
Yes, sticky parts. Um, yes,
Sorry.
I feel that this episode and the last episode was all set up for the most part, which is fine, but it does then leave you. It is contingent on the payoff at that point, right? So it feels like we've got, we've got the setup for the joke, and the last two episodes, they're usually pretty good in most series, and I'm expecting a lot, if I'm completely honest. Also, we saw classic new insult. Well, not new insult, tradition. Dotard. Dotard makes a comeback in parlance. Have we? Did you spot that one?
I missed it.
Not consciously, but I probably
That old dotard.
What was that?
So a dotard was what King Jong Un called Trump when things got a bit tense between them. He called him dotard Trump. It's just like, I don't know. It's like it's just like it just triggered that bit in my memory. The last time I heard that word, it's like that's an ancient insult, but I don't know. Yeah. But yeah,
it's
there was
an oldie but a goodie.
An oldie bit of goodie. Yeah. For those that don't know, I think it is something comparable to a pejorative beginning with the word "r" that is often used by teenagers to describe someone who is unintelligent.
Yeah, well, I think it's someone who like I think it's like someone who like doting is like kind of being gently obsessed with something.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like if you dote on something. So I think a dotard is someone who like has no focus.
The definition I'm seeing, according to Oxford Dictionary, is an old person, especially one who has become physically weak or whose mental faculties have declined. So, like Joe Biden.
So, well, it's someone with
someone who is yeah. Or just being old and losing their edge. To be honest, depends how vicious you want to be, right?
Yeah, dementia. Some form of low-level dementia.
Good. All right. High level. We've got some facts on that here as well. All right. So
everything.
So oh, okay. Anyway, I've covered my notes with the distance and Damon. What else? What else is sort of are you taking away from the episode?
We haven't been doing credit watching. The credits have changed. Have you guys noticed the credits have changed?
I do, but I
haven't analyzed it frame by frame, but I do try to pay attention every time.
There was the rat catchers were featured, like hung up. There was the little kid's death, there was Luke's death, there was the Blackwoods and the Brackens, and there was some guy with a sword with dragons. I don't know. We haven't been keeping on it, and I just wanted to throw out. It's cool. I forgot that they do the cool transition things.
I like that they've done a different one this series, and I imagine and hope that they'll do something different for a third series, because the first one was based on Viserys's model, and the second was based on Elena's not cross stitch, embroidery. That's it. And so I'm imagining there'll be some kind of art form that expresses that. However, the original Game of Thrones one, like that one was really obvious. Like I know when the embroidery is updated, but I find it and aesthetically it's really nice. But I also find it difficult. Like you kind of have to do a frame by frame to make any sense of it. Right?
It's more abstract art than it is like the original Game of Thrones was a tangible map. You knew where you were going. There was like literally words. Yeah. Well, this is a bit more like an abstract. Like you've got to have really good visual memory of certain shots to work out what certain things are. And it does move very quickly. And there's quite a lot of visual noise because it's got this kind of the stitching effect plus the sort of bleeding effect that they do in it. It is quite a lot of visual stuff to take in. But I wanted to shout it out briefly because I noticed that they still do it, and it made my brain happy.
One thing that I really liked about Game of Thrones originally is that they subtitled the location where something was set, which I don't believe they did in House of the Dragon, and they don't seem to do when they, I was going to say unlock a new place like in a video game, right? The twins unlocked. But I don't know, I feel like it would be nice because, like with the twins, for example, are you expected to know from the shot? I mean, people who are following closely the show will know, but will you casual viewers know? I don't know, probably not. But
I agree. I like the little subtitle location.
Yeah, but
I mean, they do because we talked about the fact that this show does a particularly good job of either doing a visual payoff followed by a line or a line followed by a visual payoff. And they did have them having the conversation where he was like, "I'm going to go to the twins," and then he went to the twins.
Yes.
They did. Have that inbuilt logic.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. What I found interesting in this episode was Aemond in his position as regent, and particularly like him leaning on Aegon. He took the attendance ball from, well, the king or the person that sits at the head of the table. He took the attendance ball and then he smushed it into Aegon's open wound. I don't know if it was an open wound, but it's fresh wound.
Definitely not pleasant because they were using like vine leaves to bind it. Obviously I think Alison summed it up with the where she touched his face and was like, what did she say? She said it has not the
indignities of youth,
indignities of your childhood been avenged enough, and then
something
pulled a hand away and then stormed off.
More to do.
I think he's being a petty little, he was bullied as a kid and now his bully is lying in his own juices. You're gonna vaguely and also he's vaguely threatening him as well. He's saying, you better not remember that I was the one that did this to you.
I wouldn't say vaguely. I would say that's pretty direct, really.
Well, he didn't verbally announce it.
Sinister, definitely. Yeah.
This whole animosity, and basically threatening of Aegon that Aemond does is not in the book at all. But it's an amazing addition, and
I love.
Adds so much to that storyline.
Oh yeah, I love Orwell's navigating of this because he's like, I think I might actually save him. That's amazing. Wow. And then Aemond's like, no, he'll be like this for a while, I think, won't he?
He better not get better.
He better not get better. I think, oh man, I would not want to be Orwell because it's like, what a time to be like. Oh man, I mean, to be fair, he was the one that was keeping Viserys alive for goodness knows how long. Like that guy is a genius. He's smart,
talented.
Yeah,
he's a good doctor.
That's it. Yeah.
I have just watched a series where one of the main characters pretends to be weak and feeble for a long time so he doesn't get thought of as a threat, so he can do a lot of undercurrents of sneaky behavior and build up his power. And I'll be interested if that's kind of the direction they want to go with this sort of plotline, particularly with Larys's thing. Whether or not they're going to try and in his damaged shell of a body, maybe he can actually learn some intelligence and some hard work, and maybe the punishment of dragons will be enough to make him a better person. I don't necessarily believe it to be true, but I'll be interested if that's the direction they decide to go for with Aegon. And like, yeah, I think Laris was really interesting this episode.
Laris, to me, Laris and Mysaria are two characters. They're the Littlefinger and Varys to me in this show, and I'm absolutely they're really both getting into their stride now. Like Laris was sharing with Aegon, and he seemed like that was such a good moment, even though Aegon was basically. He was not so much part of the scene. It was all really Laris, if we're honest. Not that Aegon hasn't had a killer season so far in terms of acting. But yeah, Laris was like, I don't know, like I feel like I think there's genuine sympathy mixed in there, but also like the idea of like there is mention in the Game of Thrones video game, and I'm sure in the books as well, that you can get addicted to milk of the poppy, and because it seems to riff off heroin, right?
It's opium.
Or opium, yeah. So
literally, it's milk of the poppy. It's opium.
Poppy,
that's what it is.
So so it seems like Laris doesn't want to dull. He's sort of like he wants Aegon to survive, because obviously Aemond is not just a threat to Aegon, but he's a threat to Laris, right? Like in that scene, he called him a toad. You know, definitely a lot of insults being thrown around this episode. And
I mean, he's
a psychopath or sociopath.
Yeah, well, he's definitely the what.
And Laris can pick up on that.
Like, if you give a bullied and abused and neglected child a gun, and then say, yes, you can be head of the entire country, off you go. Like, they're kind of realizing that everyone, like, it's really, like, very clear, particularly in the scene where he's like, let's bring in the pirates. That's the way to solve our problems. Everyone's like, oh damn, we thought we fucked up with your brother, who was, you know, sadistic in his own way and really stupid. But like, you're mostly clever and vindictive, and have a nuke. This is worse.
This is such an interesting. Sorry, Max.
I was just saying, he has the biggest nuke, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
100%.
He's got complete unchecked power. It was very interesting to see his strategy laid out, because he went against the advice of Kristen Cole, whose knowledge and advice in Rook's Rest it seemed to be like really put to good use. So he seems to be quite adept in the battlefield. He was going against the advice of Jason Lannister or Titus Lannister, or no, the Lannister at the table.
It's Thailand, I think.
Thailand, that's it. Yeah, Thailand.
Yeah, Thailand is the one in King's Landing. Jason, I think, is the one.
I always forget there's another set of twins. As a twin.
Oh yeah, George Martin loves his twins.
Yeah, do you reckon they get paid like double for two roles?
I doubt it. They just give them half the number of lines.
Yeah,
I know there's that one group of twins that were on that show. I don't think I watched it. Maybe it was like Prison Break or something. There's like a group of twins, and one of them, they have their cameo set to like $15. The other one, the cameo is set to like $300, and so people get a deal by going to the cheaper brother.
Oh wow! Oh, that's quite the undercut as well.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that like the Triarchy is being recruited by Tyland Lannister, which I think is folding into, is it the Battle of the Gullet or something? Is that which is the battle we will see? We might see. Could we see two battles by the end of the season? Could we see a battle in the Gullet and a battle at the Harrenhal or the Golden Teeth? Where's the Golden Teeth?
I don't think battle at Harrenhal is going to happen this season. I think they're going to hold off.
The pacing's so hard to predict because you have like feels like big things going on, but you have so much filler. Like, I don't know. Like, it could be that we have like 5 battles in the next 2 episodes, or it could be that we have like none. 1.
So you reckon then, Max, that it'll be the Triarchy against Corlys's fleet? That'll be the battle that we see.
Actually, what order does that happen in the book? I'm not even sure. I think, yeah, I do think we're gonna see a ship battle this season. I think that's gonna happen.
I hope so,
for
because
the
they've
Battle
been
of Harrenhal.
repairing Vaemon's ship for 6 episodes.
Yeah, I like the Driftmark bits actually, because I don't know why. I just find the sort of the general vibe of the characters, Adam, Alan, and Corlys. I don't know. I find them really enjoyable to watch on screen, and
Yeah.
and I liked exploring them a little bit. And there was some stuff that was revealed a little bit, but a lot of it was basically character building. So we do know that Adam is going to be the first mate to Corlys, and he's basically like, I mean, that man needs to crack a smile, man. But also, like, he's like so nervous that people are going to find out he's a bastard, and yeah, like, I don't know, like, I'm with Alan on this one. I'm Team Alan. Like, and we had a good How to Train Your Dragon moment where
Yeah.
Oh, hang on a minute.
I enjoyed that
here.
Contrast to the scene that did not go well. Let's see if we can find a dragon rider. That went poorly. It was nice to see the equivalent, which is the dragon being like, I found a friend. He my friend now. He has cool hair.
Yeah,
I thought it was a little bit. I thought it was a little bit like plot convenience-y that, like, oh, right after this happened, Seasmoke went off and found his rider.
Well, they said that he was lonely.
It's like they got to the place, and I think I'm excited to see where it goes.
I do have a little fan theory that I want to kind of voice because I can. So Helena said she had the little crickets, and she said this one stopped singing.
Yep.
And I was trying to think of all of the people that we have seen that have actually sung during the entire course of House of the Dragon. And the ones I can think of are Daemon, when he was singing to Vermithor.
Yep.
Daeron, who they had a conversation about Daeron, and they said that he plays the lute and ladies love him. The only character that I
hang on a minute.
Do you
not Daeron Targaryen when Gwaine was talking with Alicent, right?
Yes.
Yes. Currently,
so we haven't ever seen him on screen, but
he's been mentioned like so many times, like show him already. You know?
Like, I think he's going to be a hilarious Ex Machina misdirection where he turns up ready to be the hero of yore, the young lad with the lute and the dragon, and then he, I don't know, plays plants into
I think.
I feel like it's going to be like a really hilarious, like.
We got a bard. The bard enters the game.
The bard enters the scene.
I suspect this young Targaryen. What's his name again?
Daeron.
I got to get the family tree up
Ronald.
Here. So Daeron.
Ronnie.
Ronnie. Daeron. Yep. He's not pictured on the out of date season 1 chart. So the thing about Daeron, I think, and I don't. This isn't. I think this is a remembered thing. Does Daeron lead a commoner uprising? No. No. Does he not? Okay.
Why would he? What interest does that have? Why would that be in his interest?
I don't know. Does he lead a rebellion against or something? Does he? Are you squashing a spoiler?
What squat? I'm not squashing anything.
Okay.
I just don't understand your logic. I just want you
Um, does he? I think it's not like I think I'm remembering something. That's so it's probably my awful memory.
Okay, so
maybe,
before I
maybe
lose
I'm
my
forgetting
point though,
something too.
Oh yeah, sorry, Jenny.
So
regarding Helena's cricket stopping singing, we've
Hmm.
heard Damon's who sung in last season, and he's been kind of out of it, having hallucinations. So maybe he would say that cricket to stop singing. We've had Daron, who plays the lute and used to write to his mother and stopped writing to his mother. But the other character that we've actually seen singing on screen was Laenor when he came in drunk and was like singing sea shanties with his boyfriend, and then then Rhaenyra was like, "Shush, be a better husband." And Helena said, "This one, stop singing." And then that same episode, Seasmoke chose a new rider. And that's kind of my little tiny fan theory. I don't know whether or not that's true, but I just found it interesting that of the three characters that I can think of that have actually sung on screen during the show, all three of the potential ones that we have heard of or seen have been absent, or maybe, in other words, like in some ways or another, limited in their thing. Could be completely unrelated. I don't know. Helena's vague, but like I just
Uh,
my brain like clicked that the one person that I remember singing other than Damon was
okay.
Laenor, and Laenor definitely sung sea shanties, and then his dragon chose a new rider this episode. So maybe this one stopped singing is the sign that Laenor's finally kicked the bucket. I don't
Well,
know. Don't
that's
know if it's
interesting.
true. Just fan theory, crazy, throwing things at the wall.
Yeah, I mean there are a couple of threes that could also link into that. I think. Not that there's much to, but like there are three that we know of. Valyrian male heirs, one of which is Laenor, and then Alan and Adam being the other two. But we've also got Laena, so that would be four children if you go gender neutral. So I don't know if again, does that mean that Laenor's stopped singing? I don't know. But the thing is, like yeah, like you say, they like Damon's singing to a dragon. They're singing to a dragon also in that episode. So when she's saying stop singing, does singing mean basically being linked to your dragon? Because you have to sing to a you sing to a dragon to like bond with it, right? It seems so. So if Laenor's stopped singing, it might not necessarily mean he died. It could mean he's just lost his bond with the dragon. Maybe a song is
I'm still really curious about how Rhaenyra is going to react to seeing Seasmoke being ridden, and whether or not it is going to answer the question, or whether or not it is like a psychic connection with your rider, whether or not the dragon just was like, I'm gonna abandon, fuck it, I'm just gonna find someone new. Because like she properly like legged it out of there when she found out that Seasmoke had a new rider. Like they had the whole "should I summon your council" thing, and instead she was like, "No, I'm out." Which I enjoyed because it's been so many episodes of her being frustrated with not being able to act, and then at the point where this has happened, she's like, "I'm outsies. Like, I'm not gonna summon a group of old men to tell me what to do anymore. I'm just gonna get on my dragon and go and see who this new rider is." So I'll be really interested to see how she reacts to all of that.
Yeah. I mean there is obviously like a logical sort of like obviously Laena would be half brothers with Alan. So
imagine when she meets him, there's a part of her that's like, "Oh, if only I met one of the bastards, I could have had a better affair, and then my kids would have looked like my husband."
But it's but so Alan Seasmoke might have like picked up Alan's scent or likeness to his half brother, and as such might take an affinity to it. I don't know. I think this is, and I'm going to say this for like third episode in a row now, deliberate ambiguity. And I think there's a lot of this around the dragons, because I'm still maintaining my theory that that really dragons that have no magic. It's just that they sort of train them in High Valyrian so that common folk can't get a hold of them. However, this might be the bit where that kind of proves the theory in the way, because if you can get, for want of a better, English speaking people on the dragons, then that's going to be kind of interesting. When they put the Mallister guy, the Kingsguard fella, on the dragon,
I don't remember his name.
Is it Mallister? But anyway,
I just wrote, well, that didn't go well in my notes. That's literally the entire line for that whole scene.
Stefan Darklin. He, like, to me, it was kind of obviously he was going to burn up, because they were using he was saying obey in High Valyrian, right? And it's like, hang on a minute. You do, is that not, do you do that with a dragon? Like, I thought like it was more.
You don't know him like that.
Yeah, like, surely it's just like you should be a bit more friendly. You should be like, do you want to go for a ride or something? Not obey. It's yeah.
Do you want to ask me out for a drink first before you jump on my back?
It's like, because like Daenerys said in like season 2 or 3 of Game of Thrones, it's like a dragon is not a slave. So it's that kind of philosophy. But yes. Well, I'm glad we got our first dragon seed off the ground.
Yeah.
And we're looking like,
and there's more coming.
And there's more coming. So it looks like Nettles has been replaced by Rhaenyra.
Like, they've really done a good job of kicking the cat when it comes to Rhaenyra. They've really they've knocked her down, and they've knocked her down, and they've knocked her down again. And we're really hoping that she gets to claim Sheep-Eater. And wouldn't it be like a proper like final slap in the face for her if she finally like gets a face to face with Sheep-Eater and then Nettles turns up? Like, that would be just like a proper like, oh Rhaenyra, you bay. No. Like, I don't see the showrunners doing that, because that would just be like actively cruel, but it would be really funny. I know
that a lot of book fans are really in real disagreement with the decision to seemingly cut Nettles, and she did seem like an interesting character and an interesting point of view perspective. But it could be that Alan takes on some of the commoner point of view characters that ride dragons, and Rhaenyra kind of gets. Like, she kind of gets something for being loyal and being useful and being helpful and putting up with Jane Arryn, who seems difficult, to be honest. She's basically got a raise.
I'm enjoying Jane Arryn. Jane Arryn is a sass bitch, and I like her. I
like her, but I like Rhaenyra too.
I'm sending off like the last true Valyrian heir with 6 good men. Just like 6 men, the last Valyrian heir you're sending across the sea to like 6 men.
Yeah,
like, I find it so petty and funny.
That's
I'm really enjoying her. She's so sassy.
So the tune will change when Rhaenyra bonds with Sheepstealer, unless of course one of the is it like Joffrey, who, I gotta be honest, I kind of thought that it was kind of adorable that he's like wearing grown-up clothes, but he's like 10, which is, I don't know, I find that very amusing. Like, you ever see a young kid in a suit? And it's like, it's kind of weird,
like weddings.
Like at a wedding or something. And it's like, you just look like a miniature grown up. And it's like, that's weird, I kind of.
Well, this is called the Smallfolk.
Smallfolk, yeah. So of course we witnessed the new stretch of the propaganda campaign this time around, which
this is my favorite part of the episode.
Yeah. Definitely, and I'm kind of liking Ulf as the sort of the disenfranchised. What he was described as in his blurb as something like a raconteur.
I'm enjoying the number of Smallfolk POV in this
Yeah.
series. Well, you need it in order to tell this story. But like in the original Game of Thrones, like you had like Hot Pie and like Gendry, like and like some of the like Night's Watch, but generally speaking, it was still like top tier.
Yeah.
It's nice to get like the whores and the rat catchers and all that jazz.
Yeah, and also you had Roz in season 1, and maybe in a few cameos in later seasons, but even like the thing is with all of the small folk you saw in Game of Thrones, they were usually lifted up in a way that sort of made them different from other small folk anyway. Like it felt like it wasn't like, with maybe the exception of Hot Pie, most of them, and even Hot Pie, like I like the theme of Hot Pie. I like the theme that his survival tactic was being a good cook, and that was the thing that sort of kept him alive, and he survived to the end. So
He survived longer than Ed Sheeran.
Yeah, he did better than Ed Sheeran. Yeah, it's better to be a good cook than a shit singer. But I really enjoyed. We touched on it earlier. I really okay. So Gwaine Hightower is really growing on me as a character. When
I
really
really
first
like him.
Yeah, in the first scene, I thought, this is going to be like a dorky comic relief. He's going to be the posh boy that gets, it's going to be the butt of all the jokes.
Stomped on by a dragon.
Yeah, that kind of thing. And it's like he has like quite rapid character development, it seems, where he starts off being a relatively like highborn gent, as it were, and then he like sees the horrors of war, and I like the fact that he looks like it's affected him. His when he's talking to Alicent originally in the first scene, he's all like la-di-da, and now in the scene with the last episode, he was like, I don't know, like he understands how broken everything is, and I don't know, like
he's weirdly sincere. He's sincere, and he kind of he's one of the few highborn outsiders to the royal intrigue, because obviously he was in the court at some point because he came and he did jousting and all that jazz. But he's been living in Old Town this whole time. So I'm enjoying like a genuine like non-court intrigue, novel perspective. And honestly, like he's a great actor, because I think I said it that like I looked up his he's from a pedigree. He's one of the foxes. So he's got a pedigree, and that kind of comes with a sort of he comes with a gravitas, which I'm enjoying. And like, can you imagine how much healthier Alicent would be mentally, and how much better her kids would be if they had more of that presence in their life?
Yeah.
Like I think because he grew up away from Otto as well. I think that's a big thing, where he kind of has like a sort of pragmatic view on his dad, where he's like, yes, dad's a genius, like a political genius. Like, dad's great, but he is also a bit of a shit.
That's why I'm so interested in seeing how Darren turns out.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how Daron turns out, and I'll be interested to see what the fuck Otto is up to, because no one can get hold of Otto.
Where
like, is he just,
Otto?
Wearing?
Yeah, where in the world is Otto
Hightower? And smoking, or is he like doing
it's not hard to
bullshit?
Yeah,
like the fact that Gawain actually is like genuinely like comforting Alicent. Like he's genuinely like, you tried your best. That's the kindest thing anyone has said to her in like 25 years. Like that's better than the absolution and like whatever she gets out of her relationship with Kristen. Like it's actually like,
oh, I just had a theory. Yeah. Oh no!
It's a theory.
Okay, so obviously, like Gwaine was talking to Alicent, and he kind of realized that what she really was the real question she was asking is my third son like the other two, And he was like, no, he's kind. He's nice. Chicks like him, like it's good, and he and I think this might lend some possibility into Alicent killing, maybe. Well, no, she doesn't. She wouldn't. I know that she doesn't kill Aemond, but she might. I don't know. Like, she might kill someone. She might want to put him on the throne. It might be the one thing that she tries to do.
I think the thing is, like, I think she was hoping to connect with her children, and the only one of her children who is kind is Helaena. And Helaena has difficulty with connecting. And so, like, I think Alicent is, like, sad that the one child that she would have had a chance with is the one that she hasn't spent any time with.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll be interested to see how that plotline goes. It was nice to see a nice relationship. Yeah.
And of course, we've got the scene where they leave the Sept, and this is as the food is coming into King's Landing, and it causes quite the ruckus. And also, side note, disappointed to see Hugh the Hammer just like grab someone else's like food. I know times are dire, but he's like, just give me.
It shows you how dire the times are.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I felt
like they've set him up. He's got a sick daughter and a wife who's pissed. Like,
but you don't know what the other guy's got. He might have 2 sick daughters.
Yeah, well, screw that guy. I need my That's where they're at. That's where the small folk are at this point.
This is it's a wonderful double-edged sword that like Rhaenyra is getting the small folk on her side, but how many small folk are gonna die in food riots? Like, how many of them are gonna like kill each other because of what she's done here?
Well, no. Whoa.
It's far from out. It's not that altruistic. Let's be honest. It's political.
Okay, all right. Let's get one thing straight here. The reason there's poverty in King's Landing is because of the blockade.
Yeah, exactly. So like she's not like it's 100%. Like Rhaenyra's whole plan is 100% political. Like,
so it is a siege.
She's got
which was considered somewhat unethical in the last season of Game of Thrones. To starve the people out. So that's interesting.
Basically, the people are being forced to like in all fairness, they could leave if the high
they can't.
If Team Green exactly, if Team Green would let them leave, they would leave and they would potentially go off and farm or do other things, but they're not being allowed to leave. So yes, there is a siege, but yes, they're also trapped. So it's war. It's unpleasant. But yeah, I did enjoy. So Alicent fell over and cut her inner left forearm. In the same way, so by proxy, Rhaenyra cut Alicent's inner left forearm. Not too dissimilar to how Alicent cut Rhaenyra's inner left forearm. It's an injury in the same place. And by proxy, Rhaenyra was responsible for said injury. I just like.
Yeah.
Also, the small folk can kill a Kingsguard, they can probably kill a dragon. Just putting that out.
Oh, I was thinking. Didn't they get 3 of them? Didn't they get the 3 lick spittles?
It's hard to tell.
Hard to tell. There were 4 with them.
There was one that was on the floor that was like being like properly kicked, but like we don't know how many of them then got on horses and escaped.
I think it was just the one, and I think it was the older guy, Redwine or whatever his name is. I think there were 3 that held back. I could be wrong. I'm not, and they were the 3, guards that Aegon put in. So it's like the 3 inexperienced,
those guys.
The 3 Stooges. I was thinking it's like they're going to have the best armor in the realm, right? It's going to be the most refined steel. It's like Are they going to be there stamping on him for like 40 minutes before anything happens?
I mean,
it's just going to be there under like the constant patter of the Smallfolk just banging away at his suit of armor. God, I got a fucking headache, but at least I'm not dead. No, they got him.
I mean, I think they done got him.
They done got him. That's yeah. I mean that would be quite. You got to watch out for the Smallfolk now that's walking around wearing the Kingsguard armor. It's like where do you get that armor? Yeah, it's.
I don't know. I found it on the back of a bus.
Kitty o'clock.
Yeah, Kitty o'clock. It did remind me of obviously the similar writing in Game of Thrones where Sansa gets attacked. Obviously, it's meant to have call forwards, callbacks. So I enjoyed that little. When the Smallfolk are starving, things go tits up for the locals. I find it interesting if we go briefly back to Aemond, where like he was smart enough in the last episode to be like cut down the fucking rat catchers. So he clearly has some understanding of like. It seems in hindsight that was more like that was my brother's stupid idea, because then when they're like the Smallfolk are restless, he's like, so what? Like he doesn't seem to like. I think he understands that his brother makes his brother made stupid decisions. Doesn't necessarily have the political understanding to understand why they were stupid. He just wants to undo what his brother's done. That's kind of how I'm translating that, because like we kept on thinking, oh, maybe he's really smart, maybe he's really intelligent, maybe he's got like a really good political understanding, and then he's like triarchy, and who gives a fluff about the population of King's Landing? They can't do nothing to us. I've got a nuke.
See, I'm in two minds about this, and I can't come down on one side or the other, right? Because yes, as you point out, like half of him is like smart and half of him seems reckless, right? So, for example, another smart thing he did was summon Otto Hightower back as hand. That would be a smart thing to do, because for all intents and purposes, Otto Hightower has held that role as Hand of the King for a long time. He knows what the job entails. He's probably the most qualified person for the job, and he would be loyal despite being not treated particularly well. So that is a smart thing to do. Now, recruiting the Triarchy to try and break the blockade is an interesting thing to do, because presumably they are the blockade itself is in very close proximity. So the blockade is across Blackwater Bay, right? Which is where Dragonstone and Driftmark are. So the blockade is going to be relatively strong and easy to maintain. And there are dragons not that far away if it were to be attacked even by dragons, right? Because you could get, if Aegon or even Aemond were to attack with dragons, I mean, Sunfire wouldn't stand a chance. And especially you wouldn't want that with Aegon on it. So you probably like whereas you could fight with the dragon in other areas where you kind of know what you're up against. You're hitting them on their home turf with a whole bunch of dragons. Recruiting the Triarchy doesn't seem, I don't know, it seems like it could work. It's desperate and reckless, but it could work. But he also does go against the advice of Kristen Cole when he says to ride to Harrenhal and attack Harrenhal with haste. He uses those words, which I don't know. Doesn't that sort of lean to the idea that with haste in the next 2 episodes? Presumably, with haste must mean in the next 2 episodes, right? With haste doesn't mean in 2 years' time, right?
We'll see.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. The timeline's changing a lot. The events, the order of things. So
yeah,
I don't know.
But yeah, it's impossible to say. But I don't know, like, yeah, because also as well with Aemond, he seems to know what he's doing, right? When we saw Aegon acting in a stupid fashion, in a clueless fashion, we really were signaled it. We really knew about it. He was umming, he was ahhing, he was speaking poor Valaryon, he was being corrected by Otto. You know, all these situations, it was very obvious that Aegon was making dumb decisions. But Aemond, he knows what he's doing. He is a person of strategy. He might be being reckless, but I don't think he's being stupid. But he is also going against the advice of experts. Yeah, which might mean he is throwing everyone under the bus. It might mean that this, Kristen Cole might not fare too well here. It might mean that the Triarchy end up causing more troubles than they solve. But he seems to have a plan. So what that plan involves,
who knows?
Who knows? Have we?
I still like that he's still like, and my uncle's really cool and he wants to kill me, so I want to go kill him because uncle
can't kill me if I kill him first.
Let's see. I've got a couple of little notes. So Lannisters are being sassy because Lannisters also they have lions in the same way that Cersei was obsessed with having elephants. It was just one of those things where like, of course they brought lions. That's an interesting power play. Is that your equivalent to bringing a gun to a nuke fight?
Are we gonna see Lannister lions actually in battle? That would be kind of.
I really hope so, because they put Chekhov's lion in there. They've Schrödinger's cat us. Like, we need to let the cat out the box.
Yes, so we've got Chekhov's scorpion, we've got Chekhov's dragon, we've got Chekhov's
lion.
I don't know. Yeah, like there's we've got. There's a lot of foreshadowing. There's so much setup in these couple of episodes that I'm really hoping for a good payoff. Like, the thing is, the last two episodes, I get them. They're like, a lot of people are slow. They're slow burns. Some people feel there's filler in them. Yeah, there's a bit of filler in the Daemon scenes and all that kind of stuff. But to me, all of that is like, it's contingent on the second half, right? Like, it's almost like it's like two sets of 2-part episodes. The first 2 episodes, these are like, or episodes 4 and 5, no, 3 and 4. Hang on a minute. 5, yeah, we got 5 and 6. Episodes 5 and 6. These are like the setup episodes, and then I'm hoping 7 and 8 are going to be the cash-in episodes with a little bit of setup for season 3.
Yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying. It's kind of like. They've opened the jigsaw box and tipped it out on the floor. And so you can see all the parts, you just can't see the picture yet. And I'm waiting for the picture to form. It's kind of like that. There's so many threads. I'm just like, give me the conclusion. I want to give meat.
We want meat.
Another little one that I just, again, it's like a one sentence thing, but I just Aemond agreeing to be hand to the king because occasionally he likes having a woman tell him what to do, and I kind of like that he's like, he doesn't have a woman telling him what to do anymore, so he's decided to let Rhaenyra be his boss, and I appreciate that. Good job, Aemond. I just enjoy that.
Also, the going back to the Lannister scene, did you notice that it was the episode in that beginning scene opened with the Rains of Castamere?
I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Which,
I love, of course, Lannisters with their themes and it was so stupid.
Bit of trivia. Of course, Rains of Castamere would not have been written at this point in the timeline because it refers to Tywin Lannister, who now was it the Rains who they had the mine underneath their castle, and then Tywin basically flooded the mine and drowned them in a siege, or was that the other one? There were 2 houses. Anyway, he destroyed, removed. Yeah, so Rains of Castamere. I think that's good. Like, I love the use of music and the use of anthems in Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. Like the even and Corlys as well. He has the Driftmark Valyrian tune, which sounds a little bit to me. I don't think there is any link to it, or if it's a link, it's only a very vague one to Princess Shireen Baratheon's theme in Game of Thrones. Like there seems to be a few like notes that sound similar together, but I think that's either coincidence or it doesn't mean anything. But yeah, love the.
So.
You got any more notes, Jen?
Yep. Why can't Rhaenyra just ask for some sword training? Because clearly she's getting some self-esteem issues with like not being able to like fight and stuff. Why can't she just get a Master of Arms to actually train her on how to use a sword? Like, even if it's not for like the same way that Queen Elizabeth I put on armor and was like, I'm just a weak woman, but I have the soul of a man. Like, it can be a propaganda thing for her to pick up a sword and look cool. And equally, just from a basic self-defense standpoint, like someone training her how, like, stick it with the pointy end, it's no bad thing. Like, she's literally been attacked in her bed. Like, giving her basic sword training would not really go amiss.
I would say give her. Yeah, like I give her the full works. I mean, she's surrounded by really good swordsmen. Like, there's no reason that any of them couldn't take time to practice and teach her. Like, it's kind of
she's physically
if Arya could take lessons, then
like I just find it like that's something that would do her no harm at all, and might boost her self-esteem. And also, if they want her to be more physically intimidating because gender, blah 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 blah, why don't they just let her be a little bit more physically intimidating? It doesn't mean that she needs to go out to do battle, but like, there's been a couple of comments about like, I don't know the difference between a warhammer and a halibut or whatever it is, and like, just like, you're perfectly intelligent and you're physically capable. You're not like,
Pommel and Foible. That was the one. I looked up the word. I looked up foible, and like, and it's the it is the pointy end. It's the fancy name for the pointy end, or the pointy section at the end. It's the bit that you're supposed to hit them with. So it is basically but she's basically saying which one's the pointy end. Yeah. So yeah.
Larys's whole conversation with Aegon reminded me of the crippled, bastards, and broken thing speech that Tyrion gave, particularly the your mind is a sword and it needs to be you have a whetstone, and my books are my whetstone. So like, it's interesting that they're drawing that parallel between Larys and Tyrion, because Tyrion was generally seen as a more sympathetic character. Well, so far Larys has been a bit of a slimy bastard. So the fact that they're trying to weave in some more complications to his character is needed after the kind of defeat part of it all. The thing is,
I think if Larys, like, this would be a really interesting path to go down in terms of dialogue and conversation if Larys ends up genuinely befriending Aegon over the sort of the cripples, bastards, and broken things kind of theme of Game of Thrones House of the Dragon. And I would love to see that sort of, because it does seem that Larys in that moment had a genuine like sharing moment with Aegon. It's like, oh great, someone who is in a position of power but is also constantly undermined for their disability. Like, he has an empathizer, as it were. And I think that could, and that might actually give Larys like an actual legitimate purpose of actually wanting, like, what does he want with the power, right? Larys almost seems like he wants power for the sake of power. He's climbing the ladder because what else is he going to do? Like, he's got similar complexes to what Aemond might have, but now he's got a reason to use that power because he wants to basically reconcile, protect and advance the I don't know, like, I'm 90% of the way there, but like, he feels that kind of kinship. He feels like it's more of like a, I don't know, like an enlightened type of thinking, right? It's that actually maybe the way forward, the way towards progress is not war, but intellectual pursuits and stuff like that, or that kind of thing, or like the power question. Who is the powerful people? Is it the maesters because they have all the knowledge, or is it the armies because they have all the force and the might? Is it the dragons because whilst there are only a few of them, they can basically burn cities to the ground? And is the fear of dragons actually the true weapon rather than the dragons themselves? Yada yada yada. And this is just one of the facets of soft power that I think is what I really enjoyed about Game of Thrones. And like Larys has a reason for being there, whereas Littlefinger just wanted to advance his own personal agenda and his own personal wealth. Great. Varys was he was just a good guy. He cared about the small folk. So both of those are very straightforward archetype kind of directions for characters to go in. But Larys, I don't know. They've added like a layer to him, or a potential layer to him, that differentiates himself from the Littlefinger Varys kind of thing. So, I think it's a good power couple.
It's nice to see some depth to it. I did enjoy kind of like that. Aemond, Aegon kind of, he's always seen himself as kind of vaguely untouchable. Like he's always been like, the crown prince and aloof, but like part of his bullying of Aemond was because there was a certain level of jealousy. But he also felt like, he was the firstborn son, he kind of lout about, he's a lad. And now he is the most vulnerable he's ever been. Like, obviously, he probably felt vulnerable when Rhaegar first was claimed, but he was still crown prince. He was still physically capable. He was still, like, he may not have been loved by his dad, but, he was still kind of, he was up there with his bros, and his brother was the weird nerd. And I think this is the first time he's been genuinely scared. And I think that's interesting to have Larys then come as this sort of like, you should be scared, but maybe we can protect each other. Like, I think for someone experiencing fear for the first time in their entire life, and a bucket load of pain, I imagine.
I've got a theory. I think I know. Okay.
Ours is the theory.
Yeah, ours is the theory. I think Max may disagree with me on this one, but I think this might be it, right? So I reckon there is going to be a battle of Harrenhal or something in that area, right? The two sides will clash by the end of the season. Either Gold's Teeth or I'm assuming Harrenhal, but it could be somewhere near that. And because the thing is, right, they're all setting up for it, right? So you've got the Greybeards that coming down through the twins, and also I think maybe that they might be bringing with them an army from the twins, and then you've got then Daemon might salvage some rivermen, and he might go up, and of course with his dragon, and then Larys might convince Aemond to be like, go on your dragon, because what he's really trying to do is get him killed. So he's putting him in dangerous situations. And I don't know if I'm going to drift into some spoiler territory here for you, Jenny, but is it okay if I indulge?
Again, I've got some vague spoilers, so feel free to spoil, because again, as Max keeps pointing out, there are tweaks, there are changes, there's going to be alterations, so I'm not too worried. And most of the key essentials I haven't spoiled. I don't mind some, because it could all change.
I think it could be the case that Aemond and Daemon fight above the God's Eye and kill each other. That might be it. Now, am I bringing forward that battle really a lot there, Max? Or is that possible?
It does happen much later, but
okay.
They could change it, but I still think it's going to be a little while longer.
I think they're going to try and get more delicious drama out of Daemon and Aemond. I think those characters are too spicy to just throw in the pot.
Yeah, and I think I'm aware that Aemond has a relationship with Alice Rivers, so that would be glossing over that.
Yes.
So yeah, I think maybe that might not be it. But I suspect Larys will try and get Aemond killed. And it might be, and he might be like encouraging him to go on his dragon and put himself in dangerous positions. So,
I mean, one of the key themes of this season is the kind of the frustration of war, the wanting to contribute, wanting to get valor, but having to be tactical, and that frustration of having to hold back. And that's been, I think, all the characters have experienced that in some capacity, apart from Rhaenys. Rhaenys is the only one who's like, yeah, I'm busy enough, dudes. Like, I'm already doing the work. Let me gorge. And then she dies. So, I think the frustration, you have Daemon chopping wood, and Rhaenyra being like, I've got to stay here to look after myself, and Jace being like, why can't I go do battles? I'm cool and shit. And Aemond and Aegon both being like, oh, I want to go out and attack things. So with all that build up, there's going to be something at the end of the season for definite. I just don't know whom it's going to involve.
Yeah, I honestly I can't. I'm kind of really hyped for it. I know this was a slow burn episode, but there was a lot in this that I really liked, despite the padding and the Daemon stuff, which is fine. It's not bad. It's just
I don't hate it. It's just I'm really hoping that the punchline is enough to justify some of the.
Well, it's got a lot of airtime for not much sub. They could have got all of Daemon's stuff in the last 3 episodes, and they could have condensed it into one, really. They get, but I think it's fine. And to be honest, if that's one of the worst things I could say about this series so far, I'm on pretty great terms. So I'm pretty thrilled, all things considered. And it can't be the acting.
I have one last paragraph, which is Mysaria and Rhaenyra. That's progressed.
I don't know what to make of that.
How do we feel about that?
That's a big change. Maybe not that big a change from the books, because she was hooking with Daemon the entire time in the books, and it was sort of an open thing that Rhaenyra was allowing Mysaria and Daemon to hook up with each other. So they're sort of reversing that for the show, and I think it makes Rhaenyra a lot more interesting. But like I said, it sort of takes something away from Daemon.
It's interesting from there is the argument to be made that it's a bit male gazy and a bit you've got a non-gender conforming female character, so therefore she must be gay. That's one of the more negative cliches you could throw at it. Equally, you could have the argument of older women finding their sexuality late in life because they've abided by gender norms, and then they find that there's something different that they actually prefer. I'm not trying to do bisexual erasure here. I'm assuming that this is a new discovery for Rhaenyra, that she has that.
Maybe
the way that it was presented wasn't necessarily sexual. It felt very comfort, it was connection and comfort more than it was. I don't know. Thoughts?
Yeah, there was definitely there was lesbian undertones through a lot of season 1 between Alice and Rhaenyra, and it's it's very I don't know, it depends what they do
very
with it.
Clearly liked men as well,
and she's very tolerant of people who like goose and people who like duck, right?
I was going to say, does she like gammon all this time, where she's been talking about goose and duck? But actually...
they have goose and duck. They have goose and duck in Harrenhal.
Yes, they do. They
I prefer to goose myself.
The goose and duck metaphor. And like
Yeah.
we're all pretty sure that Daemon is bi. Let's be honest. Like he goes. I'm sure he goes around all fields.
I don't know.
It's definitely a theory that I've heard that Daemon's like, whatever.
I don't know. I don't. Yeah, honestly, I don't know because he doesn't seem to have like, even though he doesn't seem to
I
be
mean, his sexuality
that.
is clearly incest. That's what he goes for. It's
Yeah,
whitehead people.
I don't know actually because he does visit the street of silk in season 1, but then so does everyone, and it doesn't seem like sexuality is a big driver for Daemon.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of, if we talk about like, incest spaghetti once more, there is the scene from the last episode about him and his mother. There's obviously Aemond's, sleeping with an older woman because he feels like he hasn't connected with Alicent. We've obviously got Aegon has got similar, if not quite the same level of issues with trying to connect to a motherly figure. There's a lot of mother thoughts in the incest family tree that is the Targaryens.
Yeah, the thing I don't want them to do with it is to like use it as sex position, and I don't want
Yeah,
them
I
to
don't
have
want
like
it.
every
They've
scene.
done so well at not making it male gazy, generally, and this was one of those ones where I'm like, I really like. It wasn't shot in a titillating manner, at least, but it was two very attractive women making out.
I mean, that's not the bit that I'm questioning. Just to be like, no,
I don't want them to tumble into bed next scene and
I
then
don't
just
know
have sex
because
position.
in some ways I wouldn't mind if they just left it at that and it'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
a little tease there, and if they left it at that, do you know what? I think everything else can happen behind the scenes. Maybe they could have some like secret background clues.
Yeah.
And maybe hinted it a little bit. Basically, what I'm saying is less is more, right?
Yeah. I think less would be more, 100%.
Yeah, just tease, just clues, just like and don't use it as an indulgence, but just use it as a, I don't know, as just a little
I feel
spice.
like they could do the equivalent of what they've done with Alicent and Kristen, where like we've seen one like in the background scene, one furious makeout session, and one pleasuring moment, and that all of that has been relatively discreet. What it's been worth, like it's been close up of hands, it's been the emotion of the moment has been character driven about like Alicent's shame or Alicent's guilt or Christian's guilt, or like the tension of the moment and then the fallout from those things. And that's what it felt like with this scene. It didn't feel like sexy ladies making out. It felt like these two characters both desperately seeking connection and briefly finding a connection, which I think I have mixed feelings with there was some foreshadowing. Is it a new discovery for Rhaenyra, or is it something that was always there? I don't know. I'm happy to discover with her, but I am slightly concerned about Mysaria generally because it could be sincere. It seems to be like presented as sincere, but she is a master manipulator. She has slept with Daemon. She does know how to get under the skin of Targaryens. And like specifically, never saw him ask about her scar. But we did see her say to him, I made the choice to not bear children. And in this one, she did a classic, I'm just a stripper doing med student. I'm just saving up for my graduate program, and I was abused by my dad, and yeah, it felt just a little bit like not quite cliche is not the right word. Like
The right word.
it was. You think it's the right word? Do you think like cliche is the right
Yeah,
word? It's
It
kind of
was a
like
bit,
it's a classic like
the
yeah.
transition
sob
from that immediately
story.
into making out is like,
Yeah,
That
and
was
the
a bit,
fact that
yeah, a bit, yeah.
specifically to Damon, she said, "I made this choice," when she's
Mm.
angry at him about him potentially putting her in the crosshairs. But when she's trying to manipulate, or again, this could, I'm really interesting because this could be a sincere relationship. It could be she's saying, "Look, we're both vulnerable women. We've both been abused. Our bodies have been used against us." And it's just the fact that she's very specifically told different people different facts. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know. And again, I don't want, like, it feels like me saying that is victim blaming and being like, oh, it's too much of a cliche. It can't be real. It's just trying to manipulate Rhaenyra.
oh no,
But this world is so twisty and turny.
I
I
think
hope it's sincere. I would
I,
really like
I,
it to be sincere because that would be nice.
I kind
Just
of get
don't
the
trust
vibe.
Mysaria.
I kind of get the
She's
vibe that
dangerous.
this is the sincere time. Like, is as in like she didn't feel safe or comfortable with anyone else. I think this is an opening up for Massaria, right? And that's her deciding to be vulnerable because she genuinely believes in Rhaenyra. That would be my read of the situation, I think.
I would hope
And
so. She's
yeah,
just so sneaky and clever.
but the thing I
Um,
think that is cliched about it is the oh, I don't want to say this in an insensitive way, but it's like has every woman that's rose through the ranks in Game of Thrones just like come from sex slavery, like Melisandre,
this
Missandei, like
Sunday.
yeah, it's like can you know like could she not have been like I don't know. I just feel like this is a path tread before, and it's like it would have been interesting if it would have been like, oh, maybe she was a pickpocket, or maybe she, you know, but like it does seem that
I
every
mean,
woman.
she was literally a whore. The thing that also gets me is her story says like her father tried to slit her throat after he found out that she was pregnant. But then he also gave her like a cut across the stomach, like he was trying to get rid of the pregnancy. Why would he do both? Like,
Well,
you either
maybe
try and get rid of the pregnancy or you kill your daughter. You don't need to do both. One will do the other, kind of thing.
well
Like
there's
he didn't sound like a professional surgeon, so if you're trying to instigate a dead child, then you're probably going to kill her anyway. If you're going to slit her throat, the child's going to die anyway. Like it felt really weird that she mentioned that she had a scar here and a scar here because like it doesn't quite make sense.
I suppose there's a few ways that can be interpreted. When she says he gave me the scar, was she pointing to like her womb, or yeah, like so
Yeah, she said
I
like scar down here.
yeah, like
Okay.
an abortion type scar, like well I would assume that like you know, because of her getting pregnant, that would mean what she said, you know, that's why she sort of said it, he did that as well, as in like he's the cause of the scar, even though it might, I don't know, it could have been a maester or someone who did it, maybe probably not a maester, probably some, I don't know, like I guess
Backgammon.
this, yeah,
Don't
it's
know. It was
probably
just
not a great way of, yeah.
For sure.
yeah. It felt like it felt a little broad
Mm.
for a very intimate personal story, and specifically it didn't line up with some of the stuff she said previously. Now again, this could be for the first time sincerity in the same way if we're constantly putting lines between Massaria and Laris. If this is Laris's first time being truly sincere with another character and potentially opening up to making a bond with their character, maybe this is Massaria's first time truly opening up to a character about their vulnerabilities and trying to make a genuine connection with them.
Bingo,
And
you got
that
it.
is really lovely. that really is lovely. But equally, I'm just like, oh, but she also slept with Daemon, and I don't trust her.
I think you've nailed it there.
This show has broken my confidence in people.
No, I think you've got it. I think the reason we I'm not going to say we know that it's sincere, but the reason I think we can suspect that it's sincere is because there's usually either a mirror or a contrast between black and green. And I think in this case, it's a mirror where Laris, Master of Whisperers, Spy Master, is using his authenticity to connect with the person in charge, and Massaria is using her or like her authentic pain to connect with the person in charge on their side. Like I think where they're previously very guarded about their scars, as it were. So I think this is kind of how we know. It's otherwise it'd be more obvious that it's a contrast, either that one of them would be obviously lying whilst the other would obviously be telling the truth, but it's not like that. It seems to be a mirror rather than a contrast. I think you've got that, Jenny. I think take some credit for that one. I think it's good.
It was nice. Like, again, in a way, it's one of those things where like things are going too well at the moment. Like the Tullys, like the patriarch is dead, so Daemon can finally like get his shit together. Alice seems to be at maybe an ally-ish for Daemon. Like,
I'm not sure.
Rhaenyra's getting nice makeouts. We've got a dragon seed on a dragon. Like, I'm waiting for it to all go tits up for real.
I've seen the next episode preview, and I think I've only seen it once a few days ago, but I think that that Grover Tully being mysteriously offed is, I think that's a bad omen. I think that might cause Daemon more problems. It might be a false.
Well, in all fairness, he did say to the Tully lad, like, "Why did you kill your grandfather?" When the Tully's words are like family, duty, honor, like dude,
that
really?
Order of importance,
like, family, duty, honor, and you're like, "Hey, do you want to kill your granddad?"
Yeah.
See,
and there,
that's stupid.
That demonstrates, like, because Rhaenyra was talking about how, like, as a woman, she needs to know, was it the every village, or was it the lord of every house
from here to
yeah. So if Rhaenyra was making the decisions, and if Rhaenyra was making the decisions, she would know family, duty, honor. She'd know those words. She'd know that order. Daemon,
the same way that Sansa was brought up to be a young lady of court, so she knew all the families, she knew all the songs, she knew all of the, and I have no doubt Alicent knows all of it off by heart, which is why she would make a really good political, like, she should have a seat at the table, because I have no doubt Alicent knows every single family member of every single household. She knows when they had babies. Like, I have no doubt she has, like, lodged that into her brain from when she was a child.
Wouldn't it be, isn't it an interesting irony that it could very well be the case that Alicent would be a really good queen, but is an awful mother, and Aegon would actually kind of be like a decent dad, but also a terrible king? I don't know, maybe, I don't know if he'd be a decent dad. I don't know.
I'd say his bastards in the fighting pit.
Oh, okay, yeah. You bring up the bastards.
Oh, they're just bastards. So, I mean, they don't really count.
Max just coming in and just being like, I dropped the microphone, you need to pick it up.
Yeah. It's always about the bastards, isn't it? I'm never going to... Jenny, do you have a hard out at... Jenny, do you have a hard out at midnight?
I need to leave the house at 6 hours.
Oh my God. Okay. I mean, you're an absolute legend for even making it this far. So, okay, we said everything we want to say, or is there any final remarks?
Yep, all my notes are done. I'm sure there's something that I'll think, oh, dang it, I didn't say that, but my notes are done.
There's always next week. What about you, Max?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you everyone for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Fingers crossed it's a good one.